Hello students, today we will be doing human transportation system. So in human transportation system, blood has the main role in the transporting of several materials in the body. So blood is a connective tissue which connects every part of our body, which is a fluid in nature. So it has several components. The first one is the plasma. So it is a yellowish color fluid which contains 90% of water and 10% of organic substances. Next is the cellular components, or we can say the solid components of the blood, that is called as blood corpuscles. So the main substance present in it, that is the RBC, red blood cells. Next one is WBC, white blood cells, and the third one is the blood platelets. So these are the three substances present in the blood as a solid. So RBC, it carries oxygen and carbon dioxide and also contain hemoglobin, which impart red color to the blood. And transfers different gases. So WBC, it provides body defense by engulfing the germs and produces antibodies. That is about the WBC. And the next, there is the platelets. It helps in blood clotting during our injury. So whenever we have the injuries, so platelets help them to cure it. And in a few days, we have the same nature of our muscles after injury. That one is the normal one. So these are the three components. That is the cellular components: RBC, WBC, and platelets. The main role of the plasma is to transport food, then after carbon dioxide and several nitrogenous waste in dissolved form. They are liquid components, so plasma helps them to transport these three things. Next one, RBC. RBC is the main region for the exchange of gases. So they carry oxygen. Many other substances like salts are also transported by the blood. Thus, we need a pumping machine or pumping organ to push blood around the whole body. So that work is done by the heart. So students, you know already that humans are multicellular organisms and they need regular supply of food, oxygen, etc. This function is performed by a system, and that system is called as the circulatory system. This system contains several organs or several components. The first one is the heart, that is also called as the pumping organ. Number second is the blood vessels, that contains arteries and veins. And the third one is the blood and lymph. So about blood we have already discussed. Now we will see some of the important components of the heart. That is, number one is arteries. So arteries' main role is to take blood away from the heart. So the blood contained by it is oxygenated blood. Oxygenated blood. So that means it has rich oxygen. The oxygen percentage is much more in the arteries. Okay. So this case is not there in the pulmonary artery. This artery carries the deoxygenated blood inside the lungs. That we will discuss when we will discuss the blood pathway. Okay. So next term, there is the veins. they carry blood towards the heart, and whatever the blood it contains, it is deoxygenated. What it contains? Deoxygenated blood. So whatever we are discussing, they are the blood vessels which carries the blood in our body or in our heart. So deoxygenated blood veins. So this case is doesn't seen in the case of pulmonary vein, because in pulmonary vein they carry the oxygenated blood inside the heart. Okay, so the next part that is we need to know, that is of the capillaries. Capillaries we already got in the respiratory system. They exchange the gases. Okay, they pick up the oxygen and then after release the carbon dioxide, or they release the oxygen. Oxygen is released and then after they pick up the carbon dioxide and send towards the lungs for the exhalation. Carbon dioxide is picked up, okay, and sent to the lungs for the exhalation. Okay, next we will see here, that is of the valves. What they do, they traces the pathway, or they guide the pathway of the blood. Okay, next their structure is one-way structure. They have one-way structure. That means they have a single projection. If I show here, this is the projection. They have the one single projection, or like this, they have the single projection, which helps them to prevent the backflow of blood. Okay, and next is the role of the valve is they separate each chamber. They separate each chamber of the heart. There are 4 chambers, so each chambers are separated by the valves. Separate chamber of the heart. So these are the basic terms that we should know before starting our blood pathway. Okay, these two were the blood vessels where the bloods are carrying, and then after we should know the capillaries where oxygen is released and carbon dioxide is picked up in the blood, and then after the valves that traces the pathway of the blood. They have the single projection, just like the teeth. Okay, so this, if you see here, this projection has been made by the 2 layers or 2 walls. This type of projection are called as the cuspid. Since it has 2 layers, so it becomes bicuspid valve. Okay, bi means 2. So again, if you see here, they have been formed the projection, single projection has been formed by the 3 walls or the 3 layers, 1, 2, 3. So these are called as the tricuspid, tricuspid, tricuspid valve. We will be knowing about this where they are present inside the heart during the blood pathway. Okay. So let's have a look on the diagram of the heart. So I have made this with the blue color and the red color. Blue color depicts the presence of deoxygenated blood, and the red color depicts the presence of oxygenated blood. Then after, whatever deoxygenated blood is there, it goes through the branch-shaped pulmonary artery towards the lungs, and from lungs it comes again to the heart, forming oxygenated blood. So every components present here guides the pathway of the blood. A heart has two partitions. That is, on the left hand side, it is right part and contains deoxygenated blood, and on the right hand side, it has left part that contains oxygenated blood. So it has four chambers. So right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, left ventricle. These two chambers are in the blue color regions and these two chambers are in the red color region. I will explain of each chamber in the blood pathway. So we can see the clear image here. So there are four chambers. So it is right atrium, it is right ventricle, then after it is left atrium, then after left ventricle. So if I numbered here 1, 2, 3 and 4. So there are four chambers and each chamber is responsible for the pathway of the blood. Now we will see the blood pathway, how the blood goes inside and outside of the heart. So we will start the journey of blood pathway from the toe region where the blood is deoxygenated. And this blood needs to go to the heart and from the heart to the lungs where the blood will be oxygenated. So the blood first enters from the inferior vena cava and reaches to the first chamber, that is right atrium, where right atrium relaxes when it receives the blood and contracts when it pushes the blood towards the tricuspid valve, and from there the blood reaches to the next chamber, that is right ventricles. Again, right ventricle relaxes when it receives the blood and contracts when pushes the blood towards the pulmonary valve, and then after from here pulmonary valve it reaches towards the pulmonary artery. So the word pulmonary means is directly related with the lungs. So after going through here, whatever the blood is going through the blue color region, that is the deoxygenated blood, and then after reaching here in the pulmonary artery, it directly branches towards the lungs. And what happens there? So these are the branches that are inside the lungs. So each capillaries present here, they release the oxygen and then after pick up the carbon dioxide and send towards the lungs. So what happens here? So this is the another diagram. Here the pulmonary artery branches towards the lungs, and in the lungs the blood is converted from deoxygenated to the oxygenated blood. So who does this one? The capillaries, whatever the RBC present in the capillaries, they convert, they release the oxygen, and then after they pick up the carbon dioxide and release towards the lungs, and from lungs it goes directly towards the respiration process, that is exhaling, and then after becoming oxygenated blood, it enters the heart through pulmonary veins, and after this they reaches the third chamber, that is left atrium, and from here it relaxes when it receives and again contracts when it pushes the blood towards the bicuspid valve. Then after from through bicuspid valve it enters the left ventricle, again it relaxes and then after again it contracts it from pushing towards the aortic valve. This is aortic valve, and from aortic valve it reaches towards the aorta, and in aorta this is a major region or major artery from where all the oxygenated blood is sent throughout the body. Okay, so if we once again revise the things, what is going on here, this is the blue region part from inferior vena cava to the right ventricle, then after again, sorry, not right ventricle, it is atrium. From right atrium through tricuspid valve, it reaches right ventricle. Then after again through pulmonary valve, it reaches the pulmonary artery. And through there, it reaches the lungs, and then after deoxygenated blood changes to the oxygenated blood. And again through pulmonary veins. Through pulmonary veins, it reaches the third chamber, that is left atrium. And then after, from left atrium, it reaches towards the left ventricle. And then after, through aortic valve, it reaches towards the aorta. And from aorta, all the oxygenated blood is spread throughout the body. Okay, so this is all about the process, how the blood goes in each path. Double circulation. Blood circulation in human body is also known as double circulation because blood goes twice into the heart. Blood present inside our body, that is deoxygenated blood, and it needs to go to the heart. So then after, it goes to the lungs, and in lungs it gets oxygenated and again reaches to the heart. So blood goes twice into the heart, that's why it is called as the double circulation. Next part is heart's blood supply. So whenever pulmonary vein takes the blood inside the heart, what is the process goes on inside the heart, that we will see now. So this is the rough sketch of the heart. So these are the 4 chambers of the heart. So here some branch shaped arteries are present inside the heart. These branch shaped arteries are called as the coronary arteries that I have drawn with the red color. What they do, they deliver the heart, so they deliver the blood to the capillaries, not the heart. They deliver the blood to the capillaries where they release the oxygen. So in the beginning, blood is received by the heart through the coronary arteries. It is the branch shaped arteries. So next, I have drawn with the blue color here. They are the coronary veins. So these veins takes the deoxygenated blood to the right atrium. And then after, from right atrium, it goes the blood pathway to become oxygenated. So this is the things that goes inside the hearts when it receives the blood. So once there is a blockage between these veins and arteries, there may be the cause of heart attack also. Okay, now we will see one of the most prominent defect of the heart, that is atrial septal defect. Suppose this is the heart with its 4 chamber. So the valves that separates this chamber, it is called as the septum. And when this septum gets breakage, so there is a chances of mixing of the oxygenated blood and the deoxygenated blood. And when this happens, the person may lead several defects in his body. One of the most defect is the abnormality in the heartbeat. Next, he may have the stroke, and the third one, it is the heart failure. So this is all about circulatory system in our body, in the human beings. Thank you and take care.